Starting five for Philadelphia. Embiid trying to get free, trying to draw a foul. Curry has it. Shot clock is off. Down to 8 seconds. Now Harris. Harris against Caruso. On the drive. Pull-up jumper. It's good. Tobias Harris sinks it with 2.4 remaining. Lakers are out of timeouts. Caruso to Davis. Davis struggling. Throws it up in the basket. And it's over. Oh, a thrilling finish here in Philadelphia as the Sixers blow a 14-point fourth quarter lead until Tobias Harris puts in the game winner.
Let's open the Sixers topic today and just talk about Joel Embiid and his MVP, race here. In my opinion, he's the front runner, no question. I know people still want to mention LeBron James and the stats, they don't lie. He's still having a tremendous season. But look at Joel Embiid across the board. He's averaging around 28 points per game. That's a career high. He's averaging 40% from three. That's a career high. I mean, he just looks like a more smart basketball player, being able to pass double teams, not getting trapped, not throwing balls into the second row, trying to, pass when he gets trapped. What is the key for Joel Embiid? Is it the health? Is it the stamina? Not having a terrible diet? What is the key for him having such a dominant season?
Oh, it's most definitely the health. Health is a major factor because, that's one of the things that he's been struggling with, since he's been drafted into the NBA. I mean, but like you said, man, he is playing at an incredible MVP level. This is the Joel Embiid that every Sixers fan has envisioned him having and being if he continues to watch what he eats and watch what he does and continues to stay in shape. This is the Joel Embiid that we want. This works hard, always working on his game, a la Tanner's favorite player, Ben Simmons, who still refuses to take a jump shot. You know what? Let me take that back. Ben Simmons has been impressive these last 3-4 games. He's been playing very aggressive. But here's the thing, though. I need that to be consistent. I need, in order for this Sixers team to go far. I mean, we're talking people are talking about this team going to the finals. Okay. In order for that to happen, Ben Simmons is going to have those types of games. He's going to have to continue to be aggressive. He cannot be scared of contact. He's going to have to continue, getting to the paint, pushing the tempo. Do it consistently. That's all we're asking. Do it consistently. If you're not going to take a jump shot, I'm going to need you to be in that paint consistently.
That's fair, T. That's a fair point. And I just want to say Joel Embiid is my favorite player on the Sixers. Now, I do notice that Joel can't be the professional leader of this team, but that's Ben Simmons. That's for Ben Simmons to do. And Joel Embiid, in a game where it was a prove-it game that the Sixers needed to beat the Lakers to prove what they have and what kind of team they are, it did come close at the end. Of course, you're playing LeBron James. It's not going to be an easy skate around to win this game, but I'm surprised that Joel Embiid wasn't sat maybe in that Timberwolves game a little earlier, because that was an easy game. Karl Anthony Towns, he's not playing, and I mean, even so, if he is playing, that's a different thing because Cat and Embiid, they got history going beef back and forth. That's a good matchup, but that Timberwolves game maybe have sat Joel Embiid. Now his health is a major concern. Still, we bring in Dwight Howard, but as we've mentioned, he is just a foul magnet. He goes in, steps on the court. The ref blows the whistle. That's a foul for Dwight Howard.
You understand what I'm saying?
I mean, he's close to fouling out every game. It's just sometimes it gets a little tiring. But for him to come in, it's still better than the situation we were in last season. When Joel Embiid is out, you have a little more confidence that Dwight Howard, he's a playmaker. He's powerful, and he controls the guys in the matchups that he goes against. So Joel Embiid, he needs to stay healthier than he has been. I think the bubble kind of made him that way in a way, but it seemed like the bubble Sixers, it was Ben Simmons' team. And now this Sixers, this is Joel Embiid's team with Ben Simmons being the executive, with telling the team what to do, because Joel Embiid isn't at that professional level now, albeit he is a father now. He's playing with a different thing to prove, and he's proving. Daryl Morey said that this team is a championship team or bust. And that's weighs a lot on these players, but I think that they can get it done. And I think the past few seasons, we've been wondering, can Ben Simmons and Joel play together? And it seems like they can only play together.
Now, before you get into it, Max, I gotta say, let's just go back to the reason why everybody feels as though he should have been sat in that Timberwolves game. All right, in that Lakers game, there was a clear and obvious flagrant foul on the supposed king of the NBA, LeBron stinking James. How dare you? All right, that was a cheap shot. Let's be honest here. All right, that was completely unnecessary. The reason why he pushed Joel Embiid like that was because he was going to be posterized and he didn't want to be embarrassed. All right, but that was absolutely ridiculous. LeBron should have been ejected for that. I agree with Embiid. He should have been ejected.
I think the reason that there's mixed views in that is because it is LeBron James. LeBron James isn't a dirty player. And I think if it was maybe, say, Cousins or someone, it would be a different story. But Joel Embiid, he did say that he wanted LeBron out of the game after that, and that was a hard hit. I'm surprised that he played the next play. Yes. He was in there. He was limping around. I was worried that he might be out for a month at least, and that's concerning because we're talking about, can this Sixers team play without Joel Embiid? And now he gets injured against this Lakers team, and then maybe we go and we drop it to the Timberwolves. Who knows what happens? Joel Embiid, this team is focused around Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons, he has his off days, 11 points, 2 straight games, I believe it was. The Sixers still win. Guys step up. Tobias Harris, Shake Milton. You got even Tyrese Maxey. They step up, and that's why this team is better than they have been. And that's why you can go back to Max's video on our Instagram page, why to buy into this Sixers team, because of the bench. Now, there's still, as we keep mentioning show after show, there's still room to improve on the bench. And I've seen mock trades with that too. But this team is good, better than what they've been.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. You're not gonna get no argument out of me out of that. But LeBron could have at least offered to help him up. I understand, hard fouls happen, but you stared him down. That's where I got pissed off. You didn't help him up. I think you stared him down.
I think it's because Joel Embiid's now known for that flop too, where he flops every once in a while. And the matchup was getting a little heated, but I do agree. Was that who reached down? Someone reached down on the Lakers for Joel Embiid's hand right away, but LeBron did kind of just stand there and right away. They can play. I do see your point there.
That's all I'm saying.
See, that's what it was for me. I think that's almost like the Jason Terry, the Miami days with LeBron, the dunk, the stare down, the step over. Listen, I get it. There was no support there for Joel Embiid at the fall, and I got very nervous, whatever word you want to use, scared, nervous. But listen, when he stood there and then he gave like a little like smirk, a little look down, like I was like, come on, man, like he's dominating your whole team, no one can stop him. And now, what are you going to just foul him hard, and then you're going to like look at him like you're a big tough guy? Like I thought if it's any other player in the league, maybe like Steph Curry. Now talk about superstars, but. If it's any other player in the league, I think personally they get ejected on that play. That's just my 2 cents on it. But
I'm gonna be honest with you, that was just a straight up move. It was. I'm sorry, it just was.
No, I agree with you. Now we all know Joel Embiid. And one note here before we move on from our superstar: 27 minutes played against the Minnesota Timberwolves, 37 points scored, which is tremendous. He didn't have to play that 35 to 40 minute mark, which is awesome. Traveling. I know it wasn't a back to back, but still traveling to Minnesota. The whole deal there. So hopefully. Continues to stay healthy. Doc Rivers hopefully doesn't have to play him against weaker opponents 40 minutes like he had to do almost against the Lakers. But one thing I want to touch on here before I get to Doc Rivers, because that's a big part of this for me tonight, is Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris being able to pick up some momentum here, playing so much better than what he did last season under the tutelage of Brett Brown. And now he's got Doc Rivers. A lot of people were hesitant to buy into the fact that he has best season under Doc Rivers in that 2018-19 season as a Clipper. People were saying, oh, well, is that going to happen? Was it a fluke? You can't look too much into a coach. But with Tobias Harris, guys, it looks like with Doc Rivers, he's a completely different player, more confident, more aggressive. Being able to knock down mid-range shots is what you need late in games because you don't want to rely on that 3-ball and you don't want to rely on the refs calling a foul driving. So a lot of people don't buy into that mid-range shot, but I do. I'm personally like the mid-range jumper, especially late in games. That's exactly what we need. Joel Embiid getting double teamed. He's getting triple teamed at times against the Lakers. Tobias Harris says, no, coach, give me that basketball. One-on-one, smaller, weaker defender like Alex Caruso. Gets to his sweet spot there right on the left elbow. We've seen him knock it down so many times and just puts that one home. Great victory overall. But let's just focus on Tobias Harris. What do you guys like what you've seen, right? I mean, this guy looks like a different player.
First off, I've sticking love what I've seen, and I've always been a supporter of Tobias Harris. As a matter of fact, I've always said that his game, it's more of a mid-range game. Like, he could shoot that three. Like, you still have to respect him from the three-point range, but his game, where he was going to make his money, is in that mid-range, and Doc Rivers recognizes that. And in the beginning of the season, I don't know if everybody was noticing, but Tobias Harris was shooting a lot of threes in the beginning of the season. That's not his game, like I just said. Mid-range, that's where he excels. It's like you said, Max, he went to that left elbow, something that he's done countless times, and he shot over Alex Caruso for the clutch shot. I need Tobias Harris to stay in that mid-range. If Tobias Harris stays in that mid-range area of the court, I'm telling you, it's going to justify that contract, and I think people are going to be a whole lot more happier about him.
Right. I've seen things where it says that we need to apologize. We criticize Tobias. I'm not criticize that. And if a player plays bad, you're gonna talk about it, and he's gonna have time to improve. Wise. Now, Tobias Harris, we brought him on because of his performance beyond the three, and it didn't seem to be clicking the few.
He was getting into Tobias Harris and clicking into the the flow of the game. But yeah, I think Tobias Harris is a huge asset to this team, and I think he's going to be a huge asset to this team moving forward.
Averaging a career high in points not a career high in points, but a career high in field goal percentage, career high in 3-point percentage. He's averaging over that 20-point mark there. I'm gonna throw back to Tanner to wrap up his point about Tobias Harris. Tanner, you have to like what you're seeing from Tobias, and I think we're going to mention the shooting percentages that he's done from beyond the arc.
Yeah, he's definitely been improving, and we mentioned that Lakers shot, and now we have more confidence in him. Now, previously, it would go to Tobias, and he'd bank it off, or it'd be a brick, and we'd be like, here it goes again for Tobias. But now we have more standards for him. He's now that clutch guy, and he's going to act upon that, and we got to see more from him still, but we got to have more confidence now with that shot that he made. Now he's another guy that we can give the ball to in a clutch time.
Yeah, listen, this team is different, and I completely buy into this team. A lot of people is so weird, I need James Harden. They're pounding the table. I want Ben Simmons gone. He can't shoot. All understandable points because of the headaches that we've had to deal with for the past how many seasons, 3-4 seasons. But the fact that this team's still succeeding without, James Harden on this team really shows you the mind of Daryl Morey. This guy, I mean, it's unlike any other with him in basketball, being able to make moves. Brings in Seth Curry, Danny Green. People weren't so high on Danny Green. People were like he's an old veteran player. This guy is still a baller. He can knock down the three ball very efficiently. So let's just speak real quick before I throw it to you guys, but to you first. Just speak to the shooter mentality, be able to just have those trusted guys to knock down those shots when Embiid gets doubled or tripled and things like that. And also touch on a little bit of Tyrese Maxey in that bench real quick, because I want to wrap this up with Doc Rivers. But Tyrese Maxey, Shake, in the running for MVP, Sixth Man of the Year. Doc Rivers has a history of that. We all know back in LA. But just speak to the bench, speak to the shooting as well.
It's one of the things that I brought up in the offseason that they needed to improve on was that bench. It was one thing to have the starters, but you got to have the bench to be able to rest those starters, and that bench still has to be able to produce. That bench has to have, some kind of an identity somewhat. Are they going to be an offensive bench where they're going to continue to score? Are they going to be a defensive bench, or are they going to be an energy bench where they just come in and they're up tempo and things of that nature? And I think we're that energy bench, and I love the bench makeup. Y'all know how I feel about Shake Milton. I love Shake Milton. I said last season, I stuck my neck out for Shake Milton. I said that, he's going to be a major piece moving forward, and he has been on the bench. Tyrese Maxey has been a pleasant surprise coming out of Kentucky. All right. He really pushes the ball. All right. I love his low floater game. I love the fact that he's very aggressive, driving to the lane. I love all those little things. I do think, though, that we do need to expand a little bit on that bench, and I still think that we need some more shooters because the shooting aspect of the bench is still inconsistent and still needs work. But I think those things will work out. I think Daryl Morey sees that, so I'm pretty confident that he'll fix up those woes.
Yeah, going into the season, you had to have expected this team to be better from 3-point percentage. And at first it started a little slow. The guys were getting into their rhythm with Danny Green and Seth Curry. The Sixers team is now, I believe, ranked 12th for the 3-point percentage. And these guys, I have the stats right here, 51% from Seth Curry. Danny Green's got 37%. There's still room for improvement there for Danny Green. He's been off, but now they're proving that they can be those guys shooting the three. And now we have an addition because Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, they need those guys around them. Now Joel has sort of picked up shooting from the arc, but he knows his role now. He knows that with guys like Seth Curry and Danny Green, that he can depend on them to pitch it out to them for them to shoot. Now you have guys on this team that set up other of the stars for these shots, and Shake Milton's one of them. And you have Tobias Harris now we can trust for the shot too. Tyrese Maxey going in there. And even Furkan Korkmaz, I know that's Max's favorite player on this team. He can make up shots too. But that's a guy I want to keep our eye out on to be moved around for a trade if that happens.
Yeah, I think we do need one more piece on that bench. I think Mike Scott's value is basically at zero right now. I was hoping maybe we can put him in a deal, maybe. And people were even saying Danny Green in a deal, which I think is ridiculous. But
no.
I think another thing you have to mention is the fact, that Tyrese Maxey is coming in here. We finally have a player you just plug and play from the draft. I guess Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons may be the last time we had a guy we just step on the court and ball. So it's great to have Tyrese Maxey. He hasn't done great recently, but I feel like he's a very efficient player. And he had the opportunity to show what he can do when Seth Curry had that COVID incident, against Brooklyn. So I think you do need one more. Oh, there goes my phone. I think you do need one more person on that bench, and I think once you have that, maybe
that's ludicrous.
PJ Tucker on an expiring contract, something like that. I think it would be great for this team. And I want to wrap this up with Doc Rivers. Just touch on Doc Rivers real quick, guys. People were saying early on, especially in the media, Doc Rivers, I'm not buying into that coaching change. I think the players are the players, it's the talent that takes over. Do you think Doc Rivers really has an impact on this team as they go, through these road trips and through this COVID-related season? It's kind of weird, obviously, for everybody. What's his impact?
And if anybody who's saying that, man,
it's ridiculous.
That is a ridiculous statement to make, and I'm going to tell you why. In that Lakers game, if Brett Brown was still coaching this team, that's a loss. That is a loss, because exactly what happened in that Lakers game was the same things we were complaining about with the Sixers team. They would get up big, they would get comfortable, and all of a sudden the opposing team would come back and they would lose. What happened? The Sixers started coasting. They started getting lazy in the last 4 minutes of the game. The Lakers started catching up. Boom, they ended up taking the lead. And what does Doc Rivers do? He called a timeout and he gave it to them before the commercial break. He's like, listen, guys, what are we doing? I need that out of my coach. I need that. I need my coach to tell his guys, look, y'all, just because you have a big lead, that does not mean you get to coast to the win. These are still the Lakers. These are the NBA champions here. Like, you guys need to keep putting your foot on their throats. Do not let up. I needed to see that. I love the fact that he's doing that. Coaching is a huge aspect to the reason why this Sixers team is very successful.
For me, it's the accountability that we're seeing on this Sixers squad. We knew before, we mentioned it on our show before the season started, that Doc Rivers in town meant that there's going to be more responsibility. He's going to know to coach these guys. He has more experience. If he makes a mistake in the game plan, he fesses up to it. And if it's
Tanner was getting into the experience of the team, and having an experienced coach like Doc Rivers, I think definitely helps.
Of course, 100% agree with that, guys. And, to wrap up on this final segment here, the Sixers, I think it is huge with Doc Rivers. I feel like building those personal relationships, and I mentioned the accountability factor is huge for the Sixers. Having better guys on the team as well. Even Seth Curry's been around the league longer than most people think, about 6 years now. So having that, those guys, those veteran players, the accountability with Ben Simmons, especially Ben Simmons, you need to hold him accountable. I personally, at this point, think we can win a championship without Ben Simmons shooting a jump shot, as long as he continues to be aggressive, like T said, drive, get those shots in the lane, get to that free throw line. He hasn't been horrible from the foul line this year. He's been a little bit better. Still like to see that percentage climb more and more, but as long as he keeps getting in that lane and getting those rebounds and just playing his role, I think people were so stressing him, the fact that he needs to shoot the basketball more, which is understandable. I get that 100%, the whole thing.
Still does.
And I get it. And then people want to make sure that it's going to open up the drive for him and be able to get there and attack the rim and make it easier for him inside. As long as we keep playing the way we're playing right now, I love this team. I think the sky's the limit in all honesty.
No doubt.
Guys, listen, if you enjoyed the Sixers content today, make sure that you follow us at the Philly Experience Podcast on Instagram and at the Philly EXP1 on Twitter. We'll be back next week to touch on Joel Embiid and his continued race for that MVP trophy.